You know, we live in a world where it feels like you have to be constantly online, constantly sharing to be seen. But there's this really fascinating group of people who are almost invisible. They're scrolling, they're watching, but they hardly ever post. Well, psychology tells us this isn't just random. Their silence actually tells a powerful story about confidence, mindset, and what it really means to be secure. So let's get into the psychology behind the silent user.
I bet you can think of someone right now, can't you? That friend, that follower, they're on social media, but their profile is just quiet. No new photos, no updates on their life, nothing. So what is really going on there? What's the story behind the silence?
Okay, so the easy assumption, right? We think, oh, they must be shy, maybe a little antisocial, or maybe their life just isn't that interesting. But the psychological reality, it is so much more compelling. It turns out this quiet behavior often points to a really deep sense of inner security and a grounded view of the world. And it's all built on a few key psychological traits. All right, so first up, let's talk about this idea of the inner world versus the outer show. This isn't about hiding from everybody, not at all. It's actually about making a very conscious choice to value your privacy and to build a really strong sense of who you are. This all ties into a concept called high privacy orientation. Now, this doesn't mean they're secretive or have something to hide. It just means they value having control over their own mental space. They simply prefer to be the ones who decide who gets access to their life, their thoughts, and their experiences, instead of just broadcasting it all out for everyone to see. And this quote just nails it. They don't need to announce their life to feel good about it. You know, while a lot of us might get a little dopamine hit from likes and comments, these individuals get their validation from within. Their happiness isn't tied to an online post. And that quiet confidence, it's a huge sign of real inner security. And that inner security, it's usually built on another key trait, self-concept clarity. Basically, people who share less often have a very solid sense of who they are. They know what they believe in, they know their goals, so they aren't so easily swayed by every new trend or the constant need for other people to tell them who they should be. So, the bottom line here is that their happiness just isn't riding on how other people react to their life online. It's something they generate and maintain on their own, which, when you think about it, is a really resilient way to live. This brings us perfectly into our second big theme, the huge difference between genuine security and just chasing validation. It's all about understanding that so much of what we see on social media, it's kind of an illusion. Psychologists have a great term for this, secure self-esteem. Think of it like a kind of confidence that fuels itself. It doesn't need constant attention or praise from the outside world just to survive. They aren't posting selfies to prove they're worthy, because on a really fundamental level, they already feel whole. And this is often driven by something called an internal locus of evaluation. Okay, that sounds super technical, but it's a simple idea. They judge themselves by their own standards, not the constantly changing goalposts set by other people. And because they aren't always looking outward for a thumbs up, they tend to be deeper thinkers who would rather have one real conversation than 100 surface-level likes. These individuals are also just keenly aware that what they're seeing online is not the whole story. They totally get the performance aspect of social media, and they see it for what it is, a highlight reel. And what's on that reel? Well, you know what it is. It's the carefully curated moments, not the messy, everyday reality. It's the perfect angles, the best filters. It's this endless performance of success and happiness. People who don't post see this distortion, and they just choose not to play along. The entire system really is fueled by what psychologists call social comparison theory, this totally natural human instinct to figure out our own worth by seeing how we measure up to others. The problem is, social media puts that instinct into overdrive, creating this exhausting, never-ending cycle of comparison. So by staying quiet online, they're making a very active choice. They are consciously stepping out of that rat race, out of that comparison game. They're choosing their own mental peace over a public performance. So when you pull all these threads together, you get to a really powerful conclusion. This whole thing isn't just about posting habits. It's about completely redefining what confidence actually is in our super visible digital world. Let's think about it like this. There are two types of confidence. First, there's seen confidence. This kind is fragile. It depends on outside things, likes, shares, comments. It has to be visible all the time to feel real. But then there's felt confidence. This is the good stuff. It's rooted in your own internal security and self-awareness. It's stable, it's strong, and it doesn't need an audience to exist. And this right here is probably the most powerful takeaway of all. For these quiet users,
That feeling of being valued, of being understood, it comes from their real-world relationships and from their own self-acceptance. They don't need to be seen by thousands of people to actually feel seen.
So, the next time you're scrolling and you pass by one of those quiet profiles, maybe don't jump to conclusions. They might not be antisocial or boring at all. They might just be operating with a totally different and maybe even stronger kind of confidence. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In a world so obsessed with being seen, what does it truly mean